Alrighty, so I'm off to pick up another drum set. I don't need a drum set at all, but I saw this really good deal on Craigslist and I just really couldn't pass it up. It was $100 for a Ludwig, 5-piece Ludwig accent drum kit. I know an accent is not like Ludwig's high-end model by any means, but they're pretty nice actually. I've had one in the past and I always really loved how it sounded. And I saw this one and it's the sizes that I like. Kind of like standard old school rock sizes, pretty big. I thought I would go pick it up, but I'm about to get on the BQE here, so I better turn off the video and pay attention. So yeah, because it gets pretty hairy up here. Anyway, here we go. All right, so there's the floor tom and rack tom, and the snare and the other toms back there. Bass drum's in the back seat, and yeah, the finish is not great. It's kind of bubbling and peeling in some spots. The heads all need to be replaced. Maybe the resonant heads are okay. I'll show you the kick. It's in there. Actually, let me get in the car, show you better. All right, there's the kick, 22 by 16, great size. Resonant head is in good shape, but it's got, too bad it's got the tape stain, or, you know, crap on there, residue. I might be able to get that off with some Goo Gone or something. And then the other side is an Evans, I think they're called an EMAD or something like that, but I can't stand those heads. I'll have to replace that. But yeah, good deal though, 100 bucks. So now go home. All right, so here they are, all home. And yeah, you know, looking at them, I don't know if I'm gonna rewrap them or not. I mean, the wrap is weird for sure. It's not perfect, and some of it's kind of fading to like a greenish color. But honestly, I don't hate it. It's, you know, it's not great, but it's not really terrible. I mean, the two toms kind of don't match, but I don't know. Maybe I will. But for now, I don't know. I'm feeling a little bit like, I don't really care that much, and maybe what I'll do is just get some Goo Gone and stuff and try to get rid of all the sticker residue that's on all the shells and the heads. Like, you know, I was looking at the different heads that are on here, and actually this resonant head doesn't look that bad, so I think I can get away with keeping that. I'll just try to get that duct tape off of there. And the batter, like I said, I definitely want to replace. I am not a fan of these Evans EMAD heads. I hate them, actually. And then the snare drum, this snare drum head has definitely seen better days, so I'll replace that. That's the stock head on there. The resonant head looks fine, though. Actually looks very good. And the snares are in good shape. Throw off appears to be in good shape and works good. Feels nice and snug. And let's take a look at some of the drums. As you can see here, this one has the worst pitting on it, but I can probably get most of that off with some steel wool. So I'll try to do that. Once again, the resonant head looks just fine. Batter head, it's not terrible. It's an EC2, but I'm probably gonna, I don't like mismatch heads. I'm gonna replace that. And you know, it's got marks all over the sides of it and everything. So I'm gonna look for like a package deal, you know, for some heads. Let's take a look at this one. I actually didn't inspect this one very much. This one has the stock head on the batter, so I'll replace that. Resonant head looks great. Now, I may not even use two toms when I set it up. I'll probably use the two big toms. And this one has some really bad sticker residue on it where the finish has faded around it, basically, for whatever used to be on there. And whatever, you know, yeah, it doesn't look good, but yeah, I don't care. I'm just gonna leave it. I'll just clean it up. And then the floor tom, let's take a look at that one. Don't hold me to saying I'm gonna leave it. I might end up changing my mind, but thinking about stripping all the hardware off of this thing and rewrapping it, just kind of, my laziness gene is kicking in. So anyway, coated ambassador here. It doesn't look terrible, but it's, you know, it's old and dirty. So yeah, I'll just replace all the batter heads. Oh, this one's got some pitting on the hoop there as well. Let's look at the bottom. Okay, the bottom looks good. Resonant head looks good. It's got some duct tape on there, but you can peel that off. Now the shells on these accents, especially this, I think this is like, I would say mid 2000s, somewhere around there. Early 2000s maybe. It's hard to say. These were all made in Taiwan, right here. And these shells are most likely mahogany, which I think is really cool. Because that's, as you can see, if you look in here very close, they are a darker wood. They're not like, poplar is a very light colored wood. So they're not, they might have some poplar plies in them, but they definitely have some mahogany, most likely. And I honestly really love the way mahogany drums sound. They're very big and boomy sounding and not super bright. And I actually really like that. And I had one of these kits in the past, actually. And I posted not posted, but in my podcast, I tell the story of how I ended up with it. Except the one that I had was like the Fusion, they call it the Fusion sizes. It had a 20-inch kick and 10 and 12-inch toms and a 14-inch floor tom. This one's the rock sizes. And as you can see, these are massive power toms. And, you know, these are totally not cool right now. Like nobody wants these, but I love them. Power toms sound freaking killer. Like they just are so big and bombastic sounding. And since I've been playing that little Club Jam flyer and recording with it for so long, I actually want to change it up. And that's my plan for this. Once I get it all cleaned up, I'm going to take it over to where I record over my teaching studio and swap it out with the Club Jam flyer that's over there and do some recording with this bad boy. This thing is like, I'm sure it's going to sound amazing once I get it all set up. Because like I said, oh, did I show the snare? Oh yeah, I did. Hardware's in good shape. Just your standard, you know, 7/8 inch L bracket. And they both seem really good. Very sturdy. And this one's missing, the memory lock is missing the screw. I'll have to find another screw to put in there. But other than that, it's really good. The mounting hardware on the drum itself looks really good. Now, I'm not sure if these were made in the same factory as some of the Pearls from that era. They may have been, because they really, really look like Pearl stuff. Like, especially that. That looks a lot like Pearl bracket. It's hard to say. If anybody knows, let me know where these I know they were made in Taiwan, but I don't know the factory and what else they make there. But the shells are really good. Oh, and the bass drum spurs, very simple but effective. I have them flipped around, but all you have to do is turn those around. And they always worked really good on my other accent kit. And I love the little mini Ludwig lugs. Like, those look really cool. So once I clean it all up, I'm just going to do it a little bit at a time, like one drum at a time. And I think it'll be, you know, it won't look amazing, but it's going to sound really good. I know that. So, yeah. Next step, I got to find some... Oh, another thing is I have cases already. I actually bought those cases for when I was transporting this kit, but they didn't have a pack that was this cheap for these sizes, the 10 and 12 inch, or 10 and 12, 16. They only had 12, 13, and 16 for cheap cases, and so I just went in and bought those, even though they had extra room. Thankfully I did, because they'll fit this kit perfectly. And hopefully I can jam it all in that closet there. I think I should be able to. I was able to get the duct tape residue off, and the way I did it, actually you may not know this, a great sticker cleaner is WD-40. Just spray it on there, let it soak in for a while, then get some, you know, some good paper towels and just scrub it, and it basically just wiped right off. Okay, I got the snare drum apart, and I was cleaning it up, and I noticed something a little bit strange. There's no snare bed cut for the snare wires. And if you don't know what that means, when you have snares, there needs to be basically a small spot on the edge, you know, filed down on the shell, so that when you tension your snare drum, it actually makes contact, or good contact, with the resonant head on the snare drum. This one, they either did it very little or just not at all. At first I thought it was not at all, but then it's like maybe it looks like they did it a little bit, but just not enough. So what I'm gonna do is just file it down on the edges there and create my own snare bed. I'm not doing this super scientific. I mean, there's videos on YouTube where people are like using micrometers and measuring and all that stuff, but honestly, I don't care that much. I'm just gonna eye it, and I think I'll do a good job. So I'm gonna try that now. Okay, I got the snare bed cut in there. Just need to polish it up a bit, smooth it out with some steel wool, and it should be good. Okay, so here's how it should look if the snare bed is actually cut and working. There shouldn't be any space between your snares on the head after you tension the snare. And this one now, I didn't show before, but it did have some space there. You had to tension it very, very tight to make it sound normal rather. But now I think it's much better. So I didn't do that much. I mean, I didn't cut the deepest snare bed, but I think that pretty much fixed it. And here's another close-up of the wood grain inside of the drum. And yeah, I still think it looks like mahogany. And it even has vertical grains, which is kind of like the older made in Japan mahogany drums that you used to be able to find. And then it looks like it's got, I don't know, I can't count the plies really, maybe at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plies maybe. And then the inner wood is definitely a different type of wood. It's even darker than the outer plies. So I'm not sure. Doesn't look like poplar to me though. I do know that, because poplar, well, I can't really show you the inside of these drums, but these are poplar and they're very, very light. It's like almost white, it's so light. Another thing I wanted to mention is the quality of these accent drums, like the build quality, I would say is like 1,000,000 times better than these PDP Encore sets you can get from Guitar Center. Even though this drum set does look really cool, I admit that, and this doesn't look as cool, but however, these drums are just made so much nicer. All of the hardware is way, way sturdier and more heavy duty. Like the hoops on these drums are triple flange hoops, but these are heavy, solid hoops. The hoops on that PDP right there are so weak. If I take those things off, I mean, I can literally bend them with my hands. They're so, so thin and weak. Even the bass drums hoops are incredibly weak. So this kit, you know, I would never travel with this kit. Yes, it looks really cool, and that was the whole reason why I bought it, to convert it to electric. Having it in my room, you know, just to play here is fine. But there are so many cheap, like just poorly made parts on this PDP kit that it's unbelievable. I mean, the Ludwig, I'm not sure how the new Ludwig accents are, because this one's kind of old, but these ones in particular are built just 1,000,000 times better than the PDPs, or, you know, a lot of these cheap drums that you can buy right now. Honestly, I had a cheap Ashthorpe drum kit. It was like a Chinese drum kit, and it was made better than this PDP too. So, sorry PDP, you guys, you need to up your game. Okay, so I found out some info on the kit thanks to archive.org, Wayback Machine. But this kit right here, this is a slightly different drum set, but if we scroll down here, the accent combo outfit, entry level, right here, that's actually what I have. And unfortunately, the image won't load, but I'm pretty much 99.9% sure that's what this is. This was from around the year 2005, and somewhere between 2003 to 2005, maybe even 2006 or 7, I'm not sure. At some point, they changed the lugs to the ones that I have. But as you can see here, the shells are Philippine mahogany and juniper. So I was pretty correct in stating that. And I also found on Ludwig's shell guide here from 2001, the accent was Philippine juniper inside and mahogany outside. So that's exactly what I was thinking when I was looking at it. like as in the plies that you can see are mahogany, and then I was thinking that there was something else inside, and that's exactly what it is. So yeah, pat myself on the back. I have a pretty good eye for wood. Anyway, yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's an entry-level kit, obviously, and but you can see the finishes here that they came in were black, blue, and wine. And obviously I have the blue in here, and it's a wrapped finish. And it's pretty old, you know? It's like, if it's from 2005, 2004, 2005, this thing's coming up on 20 years old already, which is insane. So technically it's a vintage Ludwig drum kit. Right. And another thing of note here that you might want to know about, if we go back to the products, Ludwig had, they may still have, I'm not sure, but they had 2 different accent series. There's the Accent CS and the Accent series. The Accent CS stands for China series. So all of the Accent CS were created or manufactured in China, and all of the Accent series were manufactured in Taiwan. The Accent Custom series, which was created in Taiwan, was actually a really nice kit. And these were actually quite nice. A friend of mine, Zach Baracus, who plays in the band Jawbox and Bells and many other bands, he played one of these for quite a while. I remember he was playing one that sounded great. I remember when I saw him playing Bells, he was playing one of these Accent, and yeah, they sounded really good. But yeah, pretty cool. I mean, Accent CS is China series, and Accent Combo, or Accent, is Taiwan. All right, so I finished it up, and here it is. I didn't do the 12-inch tom yet. I kind of just left it alone because I don't really plan on playing it, so I'll mess with that later. I probably use it in a different project. But man, this 13 by 11, that thing is massive. But I can't wait to hear how it sounds, though. Those huge toms are going to sound really cool. They're like the exact opposite of what I've been using, which is the Tama Club Jam Flyer, which is tiny. I think it looks really nice, actually. I mean, for what it is, you know, it's a cheap Ludwig Accent that's nearly 20 years old, but cleaned up. I didn't rewrap it. Had all new heads. Now, on the snare, I have an Evans G1, and these on the toms and bass drum are these really cheap Chinese Amazon heads. They're like $30 for a whole pack. So I haven't used this particular kind yet. I have actually the toms, the pin, like the generic pinstripes on my Club Jam, and they actually sounded really nice. So I figured I would give these a shot, even though they're not coated, they're just smooth white. But the weight feels about like an Ambassador. So we'll see. We'll see if they're durable. I mean, they're only $30 for the whole pack, and plus it came with the 14 and a 12 as well. But I'm not using it on the snare. I wanted to use like a good head on the snare drum. But I've used like generic stock heads like this in the past on some drums, and you know, they're hit or miss. Some of them can sound pretty good and last. Other ones, they dent up and just crap out as soon as you start playing them. So we'll see. For the ride, I just used a Gibraltar boom arm, which fits right in there. I thought about buying a side-mounted, you know, bass drum mount, but I was like, nah, I already have this, so I might as well just use this. It doesn't look quite as cool, but whatever. It does the job. Anyway, so my next step here will be to, oh, and for the port, forgot to mention that. That's an Aquarian kick port. I think that's what they're called, by Aquarian. And these are my favorite. They're just super easy. They just stick on there, use an X-Acto knife, and just cut around, and they always come out perfect. Yeah. Spurs seem nice. You know, simple. They do the job, though. The mounting hardware is, like, insanely solid. This stuff is, like, sturdy. Really sturdy. And it's heavy. Like, it's a heavy drum set. The shells are pretty heavy. Anyway, so my next step will be to bring this thing over to where I teach and set it up where the Club Jam was. It should fit in there. I've had full-size kits in there before. And then we'll record it and see how it sounds. All right, so these cheap heads, well, I guess it's not that bad. I was thinking they dented up pretty bad on the first day of playing here. But actually, it's not as bad as I first thought. That's not too bad. And I'm using mammoth sticks here, by the way. I'm using 2Bs, wood tip. And I just like the way 2Bs sound, especially on big drums. They just have I don't know, they just sound cool on the snare and on the cymbals and stuff. But yeah, it sounds really, really cool, man. It's like huge sounding. It's like the total polar opposite as to what I was using in here. And it's a lot of fun to play. It's a little bit to get used to, you know, because it's definitely different. I was playing like a tiny little drum set, and now I'm playing a huge rock drum set. And honestly, I mean, it's not huge compared to some drums, you know. There's people that play like 26-inch bass drums, you know, like John Bonham style. This is just a 22, but compared to what I was using, it seems huge. The toms are huge, though. I mean, that is a big-ass rack tom. 13 by 11 is big. And the 16 by 16's, you know, that's pretty big. You know, I know it's standard, but tuning the drums was super easy. Basically, I had put the heads put the heads on at home and stretched them out with my hand, you know, and like tuned them up just to where I thought they felt good. And I set them up here, and they sounded pretty much perfect from that. Like, I didn't have to do much. After I played them a little while, they stretched out a bit, and then I tuned them a little bit more. But when I first set them up, everything sounded good. I was like, whoa. So anyway, that is the $100 drum set. And I really dig it. Super happy with it. I'm glad to have a big full-size kit, again, to play, you know, live with. I think it just sounds great and looks cool. And it's a lot of fun. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the bell icon so you get notified every time I upload new stuff. Check out anthillrecordings.bandcamp.com. That's where I post all my music, and you should buy it. Anyway, thanks. See ya.